Okay. Now, it's 5:28. Mr. T's been walking around a little bit. Yeah, he's licking that spot again. So I gotta be at the vet 4.5 hours. And I've been talking to you, Bomba, about secrets and principles of the secret agent woman. Well, I learned, in the process of my life, especially growing up ones, different things that were kind of secret to me, happened stuff. That's what I'm going to talk about right now. It might not be nothing much, but I remember them. I'm sharing them with you. So I wrote this, part number 4, beginning at 9:45 a.m. on March 25th, 2026. Dear Bomba, I am reminded of another couple secrets of mine from growing up. The first one is my biological clock. I noticed on Saturdays when I could stay up late and sleep in, or like on Friday night or something, I could stay up late and sleep in, that I would wake up every day or every Saturday, or maybe it was when we were on vacation from school, but every time I would wake up and look at the clock, and I always wake up at the same time. Woke up at the same time. It was either 10 minutes until 10 or 10 minutes after 10, because I remember it was always, in my mind, it was like 10:10. I can't remember if it was 10 till or 10 after. I think it was 10 till. one or the other, but I kept noticing that experience. And that is biological clock, That's consciousness in your subconscious, or your automatic stuff or whatever. But I kept noticing that experience. The other time was I went up to my room and I had a bed a dresser for clothes and a bookshelf. I also had a window pointing to the front yard. My bed took up one side and my dresser went along the other side with my bookshelf. On my dresser I had a round basket-like dish that, like a small pot, that I had on there for miscellaneous stuff, loose ends, or in this case pins, because my mom pinned our socks together so that they would, I said would, but I meant so that they would stay together when she washed them, and she didn't make me pin them together. And so she always had pins in that dish, and I'd put pins in that dish, safety pins, because she pinned my socks together. I just put them in the dirty basket, as far as I remember. But when she washed them, she had pins in the socks. She didn't make me pin them together. I just put them in the dirty clothes. Side note. I think she didn't make me pin my socks together after getting them dirty for a few reasons. Maybe she liked doing it. Maybe she wanted to inspect them to see how they were holding up. Or maybe to see if they smelled bad, because my mom learned things from her dog Blackie, and dogs do follow their nose a lot. There is no telling why she did things her way, but I was cool with that. I liked how she was, and she was very special to me for many reasons, like what she told me, how she was, and she always tried to be fair, especially like between my chores or or I can't remember how to spell it. I think it's Chores, or it could be Choars, between me and my brother Scott. Well, the thing I remember is when I would take the safety pin out of my socks, one time, the first time I did it, I flung the safety pin over my shoulder like a hook shot in a basketball, for a basketball hoop, and it went right in. So like I just looked this way, I just went like that, and it went right in the little basket like dish there, you know. And then it just went in, popped in there, and didn't even come out. And then I kept doing it. I just kept doing it, throw it in the same way, and it kept going in. I didn't have to practice that or nothing. Oh. I kind of think this is a perfect time for me to be writing to you about stuff I know and would say to you in person, etc. But I realize well, okay, let me just go back up here because I didn't read it. Then I found out if I did it the same way, I could make it a lot. Make a ringer. I never had to practice or anything. See, that is a secret I learned in 4th or 5th grade. It was like that just for that house, in that room, on that bed, with that dresser and everything. I guess was just perfect for me to do that. I kind of think this is a perfect time for me to be writing to you about stuff I know and would say to you in person, etc. But I realize that may never happen. So these leads me to another principle. I should say this leads me to another principle. Maybe principle number 9. Carpe diem. That's another language. I can't remember what language that comes from. Carpe diem, but that's another language for seize the day. It might be Latin. I don't know. I don't know if it's Latin or not. I learned that statement by watching a movie with Robin Williams called Dead Poets Society. It's a good one. You should watch it. I have to seize the day because I have to plant my seeds in cardboard pots, so when they start growing, I know they are not weeds, and then I will put them in my garden. And I already filled my containers yesterday when I said, but I couldn't find my seeds at first. I also bought a printer so I can include pictures and stuff I wrote you. I left a spot for Annabelle's picture and one for my planters so far. And I already showed you them pictures. I guess what's getting at me or crawling under my skin or bothering me is how people don't have time for each other anymore. And now robots, automation, and superintelligence, AI, is taking the place of what people used to do together. I guess that is partly why I am telling you what it is like for me to be a human being. And more than that, an active human being with agency. There's a difference between active and passive. That's what I said in the beginning of this book about some people who have everything done for them. They don't seem to care about making things better. I can remember when people I knew tried to help me make things better, and when me and my friends tried to make things better, like we made forts and clubhouses and all kinds of stuff, but I also have had plenty of time when I was on my own and never could make it better. So I know what it's all about. One of my daughters, Amber's, Amber, she's my only daughter, except you are a great-granddaughter, and that is kind of the same, but you know. Amber had a Greek boyfriend named Sam. His real name was Seraphim in Greek. Seraphim is an angel. Okay, so in Greek, Seraphim is an angel. That means angel. He was so upset when him and Amber were breaking up or fighting or something, he smashed his car right into the tree on the other side of the road from my house, from our house. I corresponded with him once when, after he moved to Alaska, he said he was in a dark place emotionally. He said it didn't help too much either in Alaska at that time because there wasn't much daylight. He told me how it was. He said he has always suffered with some depression. I told him what I thought about human chemistry and psychology and told him that I have gone through many dark places myself, and now I feel like I'm an expert at getting out of them. I have a lot more, or many more pages to write in this book, so I will write you some of the things I figured out or learned about that stuff. This could be principle number 10 on emotional change or change in your life. Number 1, by habit, or number 2, by belief. It is really quite simple, Arden. I know it's true because I experienced it for myself. That is what I'm telling you. So, say we have a problem with the way we feel. It's hard to figure out why or how to change it. On one hand, we have body chemistry. Hormones and chemicals in our body make us feel and think certain ways. People even have names for the chemicals called hormones because our different glands make them. And the ones that make you feel happy are called like dopamine and serotonin. So now humans can make the same drugs that our bodies make. Humans can make all kinds of drugs that change what we think and how we feel. But remember, they are fake. Just like artificial superintelligence is fake. Okay, it's real in a way, but it's only an imitation. So to make it easy to understand, we can distinguish the two if we say, like God made one and humans imitate what God makes and made the other. It is also kind of like a fuzzy mess because it's sort of also like human beings invented the idea of God when they made words. And regarding words, as humans, we started talking words before we started writing them. And this is still the way it is with babies and children. We talk before we write. Then it gets even more complicated because not only are there many words, but there is also many languages. I just looked at Sport's picture I made of him. Now I feel compelled to go back even further, before spoken words, more precise enunciation, vocalization, pronunciation, vowels, syllables, letter sounds, and all that we made, we made guttural sounds. And before all that, I think we made guttural sounds. And body language, and drew pictures. You can still see them in caves where humans more primal than us used to live. And then Sport's picture. I will confess to you, okay? I know smoking cigarettes is a bad thing to do to your body because, for one thing, it makes you cough, and another thing, they say it causes lung cancer. Well, Seraphim, aka Sam, came over for a visit because he moved back here from Alaska and was working in the area. He smokes, and I smoked with him. I had a pack, and I smoked them one by one, after another, taken up by the delight of the conversation. I was taken up, caught up in the delight of the conversation with him, like an old friend or perhaps a nephew, because he was my daughter Amber's boyfriend for a while in high school, but I still knew him like a fellow human being. So I smoked a lot as I was carried away and giving myself permission to be free. I brought him onto my front porch and let him sit in my chair. I pulled out another one for myself and sat facing him. Then, after he left, I sat back in my chair, which is actually Steve Marshall's mom's chair that I'm holding for him since he's off going places around the world performing magic. I sat in my chair, and Sports Pitcher looked at me. I looked at it, but it also looked at me, just like as if Sport himself was looking at me. I remembered how Sport was suffering before he died, how he was suffering before he died. And I can use words to describe my feeling and my knowing, but it's hard to. And it's hard to match it exactly right. But it seemed telepathic, like we made connection, heart to heart, and without words. I knew what Sport said. Sport said to me, through what his picture evoked in me, he said, like, pain to pain, suffering to suffering, journey to journey, life to life, treasure to treasure, love to love. Don't do that no more. I could see the tenderness and the intensity in his steady, sheer, unmoving, and all-knowing eyes. That instant was an experience, a knowing, and a handshake between myself and something beyond me. So look, when I sit in my chair like I'm doing right now, okay, and I sit back, okay, right there, to my right is Sports Pitcher, okay, and he stares right at me with his eyes. And he doesn't change what he says when he says something. He don't change his mind. I see that in his picture. Somehow it speaks to me. He speaks to me. Through his picture. Okay? His all-knowing eyes. That instant was an experience, a knowing, a handshake between myself and something beyond me. Some people could argue that there is nothing beyond us, but that is not what life teaches us, or me. And I believe people that think there is nothing beyond us need to do one of three things. First, they need to wake up and smell the coffee. Or second, they need to pull their heads out of their ass. Or third, they need to get real. They are too proud. I studied psychology a lot, and I understand all different kinds of projections, subjective, objective, subjective-objective, identifications, all that, even the counter ones. Like counter projective, subjective identification. It gets complicated, all right? But I learned about all of them and the counter ones, and I know most of the time people make their characteristics of their gods. Most of the time people make the characteristics of their gods how they want them to be, okay? They make their god how they want their god to be, okay? Some people, through countertransference, or I think countertransference is really related more to like a counselor and the counselor's patient, and anyway, I don't want to go into all that, all right? But it's probably not countertransference. It's probably one of the projective identifications, okay? God is a projective identification. All For the most part. I mean, you know. I mean, it's easy to see, okay? But through countertransference, even think, okay, some people even think, because they send their projection and identification, and they get their answer in return, okay, from their imaginary God in their head like that, you know. They even think, where am I? Even think God answers their questions. I mean, I've heard people like say, you know, I said this to God and God said that to me, and I said this to God and God said that to me. They even think God answers their questions back in human language. Like, you know, God speaks all these languages and stuff to us, different languages that we speak. And I mean, you know, maybe, but I don't really think some of it's imaginary. I won't argue with a person's subjective experience, only to remind them about the nature of reality, what it is to be human. Sometimes people get all caught up in their imaginations and inventions and forget the elemental nature of life. So see, I exercise humility. I can't say I know for a fact is out there still alive. I can't say I know for a fact is out there still alive or only in me still alive, but I knew and I know what I cannot deny, and I don't have to prove it to nobody but me. Besides that, I don't trust anybody more than me or my dogs. My dogs, because they've been with me their whole lives long, and I trust their instincts. I've learned to trust their instincts. I should have paid more attention to their instincts before, and I wouldn't have had to suffer. I say all that because, like I was telling Seraphim when we were talking about the experience of depression, darkness, or sadness, we have different chemistries in our bodies and different psychologies in our minds, and we balance them out through our conscious and subconscious agencies. Think of it. We have two eyes, two lungs, two hemispheres of our brain in our heads, right and left. Two hands, arms, and legs. It's all for balance. Thoughts, beliefs, and every kind of cognition can produce feelings. If you change a behavior or a habit, a feeling will follow. If you change a feeling about something, you will act accordingly. Your behavior will follow. So it's very easy to see how people change their lives. But I write you because I want to admit the mechanics of this process, and at the same time say that's not all there is. There is a deeper recollection, a knowing regarding that which is self-evident. We see this with what my mom, who was an expert in matters of the heart, she called it your mind's eye. This could be principle number 11, your mind's eye. You know, the Buddha said enlightenment could not be taught. The way to enlightenment can be taught, but not enlightenment itself. It's like the mind's eye. You either see with it and understand what that means, or you don't. So I'm going to suffice here by showing you my picture of sport, and you can see if you can at least understand how he speaks and spoke to me. Empathy and the vicarious experience are the paths to this knowledge and wisdom. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna stop this one here because I started another one where I said, "Dear sweet Bomba Rose." I'll read that one on another one.